The water lies still beneath drifting mist. Moonlight shimmers faintly across its surface, and somewhere beneath the quiet ripples, something ancient listens. Tonight, as sleep begins to take hold, we journey into the foggy space between folklore and fear. If you're listening beneath low clouds or wrapped in the hush of your room, feel free to share your setting in the comments. These stories take on new life when we hear where they are being dreamt. This is the tale of the Nøkken. Settle in, breathe deep, and let your thoughts drift into the unknown. Welcome to Fairytales After Dark. In the deep countryside of Scandinavia, where forests lean gently toward rivers and lakes, still water holds a different kind of silence. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of attention. Here, streams wind slowly through moss-covered stones, pools collect beneath dark roots, and lakes mirror the night so perfectly that sky and water become indistinguishable. To stand at their edges is to feel the world pause. The air cools, sound softens, and awareness sharpens. It is in these waters that the legend of the Nøkken took shape. A being not fully spirit, not fully creature, not fully human, but something in between. The Nøkken is said to dwell beneath still water, in quiet lakes, in slow-moving rivers, in shaded forest pools, rarely seen, often heard. Those who encountered the Nøkken did not describe terror. They described beauty, a melody drifting across the water, soft, lonesome, and haunting. Music that seemed to rise from nowhere and everywhere at once. The tune would begin faintly, almost imagined, a single note, then another, then a gentle weaving of sound that pulled the listener closer, not through force, but through longing. The Nøkken often appeared as a man seated at the water's edge, violin resting beneath his chin, fingers gliding effortlessly across unseen strings. His eyes reflected moonlight, his hair hung dark and wet against pale skin. His presence felt sorrowful, yet peaceful. Those who listened too closely were said to forget the world behind them. The forest faded, the shore blurred, even time itself softened, and step by step, drawn by the song, they would move closer to the water, closer and closer, until reflection became reality. Yet the Nøkken was not always malevolent. In older folklore, he was seen as a spirit of water, a guardian of hidden depths, a keeper of forgotten songs. He represented the power of rivers and lakes, their beauty, their danger, their unpredictability. Water gives life, but it also takes it. It nourishes fields, but it drowns the careless. It reflects the sky, but hides endless darkness beneath. The Nøkken embodies this duality. He is both invitation and warning. In rural Scandinavia, parents spoke his name softly, not to frighten, but to caution. Stay near the shore. Do not wander at dusk. Listen carefully. Not every beautiful sound is safe to follow. The land itself reinforces this lesson. Mist gathers quickly above water, shadows deepen, currents shift silently. What seems calm can change in moments. The Nøkken became the voice of these truths, a melody that reminded listeners of balance, of restraint, of respect. Across Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and parts of Finland, his name changed slightly. Nøkken, Nøkken, Nek, but his essence remained constant, a solitary figure, a haunting song, and water waiting patiently below. In some accounts, he appeared as a handsome young man, in others, as an aging fiddler, in rare tellings, as something far less human, a shadow beneath the surface, eyes glowing faintly, fingers too long, movements too fluid, but always there was music, music that drifted across fog, that curled around reeds, that slid between trees, that touched the listener before they even realized they were listening. To hear the Nøkken's song was to feel memory awaken, a longing without source, a sadness without cause, a pull toward stillness. It was not death he offered, it was forgetting. In this way, the Nøkken becomes a symbol of surrender, the letting go of resistance, the drifting away of will. This is why his legend lingers so strongly in northern lands, where winter nights stretch endlessly, where lakes freeze into mirrors of pale moonlight, where isolation presses gently upon the soul. The Nøkken gives shape to that solitude. He becomes the voice of longing itself. Now, as your breathing slows and the world around you grows quieter, Imagine standing beside such a lake, mist drifting low across its surface, pine branches whispering overhead, stars trembling faintly in reflection. Somewhere, far out across the dark water, a melody begins, soft, distant, almost imagined, and the night listens. Water does not speak in words, it speaks in movement, in reflection, in sound. It carries memory in its currents, holds history in its depths, and releases time in slow, endless flow. To stand beside still water at night is to feel this language begin to unfold. In the presence of lakes and rivers, awareness shifts, the eyes soften, the breath deepens, the body relaxes, and the mind grows quiet. This quiet is not emptiness, it is attention. The Nøkken inhabits this attentiveness. He is not separate from the water. He is its voice. Across northern landscapes, people learn to listen for subtle changes, the hush before fog forms, the ripple before wind arrives, the tremor before ice shifts. These small signs became survival knowledge, but they also became spiritual language. The Nøkken emerged from this awareness, a way of understanding that water was alive, not merely a resource, but a presence in early folklore. The Nøkken was not feared, he was respected. Offerings were sometimes left at the edges of lakes, simple tokens, bread, coins, flowers, symbols of gratitude rather than appeasement. People acknowledged the unseen forces shaping their world, and in doing so, found harmony. The melodies attributed to the Nøkken were said to carry deep emotion, not joy, not sorrow, but something in between, a longing, a quiet ache, a sense of belonging to something vast. Listeners described feeling suspended, neither fully awake nor fully dreaming. Their thoughts slowed, their sense of time loosened, their awareness drifted. This experience mirrors what modern science describes as the hypnagogic state, that threshold moment between waking and sleep, where images arise unbidden, where logic softens, where sensation deepens. Long before this was named, folklore recognized it and shaped it into story. The Nøkken does not pull the listener into water. He pulls the listener into stillness. Water reflects this perfectly. Its surface holds sky and forest alike, yet beneath, depth stretches endlessly. To gaze into dark water is to feel one's awareness turn inward. Thought slows, memory drifts, concern loosens its hold. This is the Nøkken's true domain. Not drowning, but forgetting. In winter, when northern lakes freeze, the Nøkken's song was said to drift beneath the ice. A faint vibration, almost imperceptible. Travelers described hearing gentle music echoing through frozen surfaces, as though the lake itself were humming. This detail adds tenderness to the legend. It suggests that even beneath silence, life persists. Even beneath stillness, movement continues. The Nøkken became a companion to solitude, a presence for those who walked alone, a voice for those who felt the weight of long winters and distant horizons. In fishing villages, his song was said to rise during heavy fog, when boats drifted uncertainly, when shorelines vanished, when direction dissolved. Here, the Nøkken was not merely warning, he was orientation, a reminder water must be approached with humility, and humility breeds patience. Patience allows observation. Observation invites understanding. In this way, the legend of the Nøkken taught people to listen more closely, not just to water, but to themselves. Now, as your own breathing slows, and the room around you grows quieter, this listening begins naturally. Sounds soften, edges blur, attention drifts inward, the world narrows, but awareness widens. You become the still lake, reflecting thought, holding memory, letting sensation ripple gently across consciousness. The Nøkken's melody continues, not as sound, but as rhythm, the slow cadence of breath, the steady pulse of heartbeat, the subtle movement of air. Nothing calls, nothing urges. Everything invites rest. This is the water's gift, to receive, to carry, to release. The deeper one lingers beside dark water, the more the world seems to rearrange itself. Distance becomes uncertain. Reflection replaces form. Even familiar shapes soften, as though the landscape itself were slowly exhaling. Mist drifts low across the surface of the lake, curling gently around reeds and fallen branches, obscuring the boundary between water and air. The sky presses closer. The forest leans inward, And in this narrowing space, attention deepens, focusing not outward, but inward. Sound thins here, footsteps fade, wind settles. Even the quiet hum of insects diminishes until only the faintest tremor remains. It is the kind of stillness that does not feel empty, but full, saturated with presence. The kind of stillness that seems to hold memory. Beneath the surface, currents move slowly, carrying fragments of leaves, grains of silt, and unseen histories across submerged stone. Each ripple becomes a whisper of something older than language, and in these whispers, the legend of the Nøkken finds its most natural home. For water remembers everything, every reflection it has ever held, every storm it has absorbed, every footstep that disturbed its edge. Nothing truly disappears within it. Everything merely changes form, dissolving, drifting, returning again as mist or rain or flowing stream. This endless cycle makes water a symbol of both continuity and forgetting, a paradox that mirrors the fragile balance of human awareness itself. To gaze into still water at night is to feel thought loosen, as if the mind were beginning to dissolve along the same gentle currents. It is here, within this dissolving, that the Nøkken's presence becomes most perceptible. Not as a figure seated upon stone, nor as a melody drifting across fog, but as a subtle alteration of atmosphere, a soft pull, a quiet hush, a sense that something unseen is listening alongside you. The boundary between observer and observed begins to thin. The lake no longer feels external. It begins to feel internal, as though its depth has opened within your own awareness. Across the northern lands, such moments were understood as sacred. People did not speak loudly near dark water at night. They did not disturb its surface without reason. They approached slowly, carefully, acknowledging the quiet authority of its stillness. In doing so, they honored the belief that water was not inert, but awake, an ancient consciousness reflecting the rhythms of earth and sky. Mist rising from the lake was seen as breath, ripples as heartbeat, currents as memory. And in this living landscape, the Nøkken emerged naturally, not as intruder, but as embodiment. He became the form given to that subtle awareness, the voice assigned to water's silence, the face placed upon its longing. Long winter nights deepen this connection. Ice-sealed lakes beneath translucent glass, trapping sound beneath frozen surfaces. Travelers described hearing faint vibrations rising through the frozen sheets, gentle tremors, almost musical, echoing beneath their feet. Some claimed it was the Nøkken's song continuing beneath the ice, a reminder that life persisted even when the world appeared motionless. Others believed it was the lake itself humming softly, a slow lullaby sung by water to its own dreaming depths. In these moments, time itself seemed to suspend. Breath slowed, thought softened. The vastness of the night pressed gently inward, encouraging stillness rather than alertness. And the human mind, so accustomed to motion, learned again the ancient art of listening, not for sound, but for silence. This is the realm the Nøkken truly governs, not drowning, not danger, not fear, but stillness, reflection, and surrender. To linger beside such water is to feel the quiet erosion of worry, the slow release of urgency, the gentle untangling of thought. The world simplifies, presence expands, and in that expansion, rest begins its subtle work. In this slow drifting, consciousness loosens and the night deepens. Music travels differently across water. It stretches, it lingers, it softens. Notes glide gently across the surface, curling into fog, slipping between reeds, dissolving into mist. And in this movement, sound becomes sensation. The Nøkken's song was never loud. It did not command attention. It invited it. Listeners described the melody as simple, yet impossibly beautiful. A few notes, repeated. A slow rhythm, like waves meeting shore. A cadence that felt familiar, even when heard for the first time. Some believe the Nøkken learned his music from the forest, from wind weaving through branches, from rain striking water, from ice cracking beneath moonlight, each sound layered gently upon the last. Others claim the melody came from deeper places, from submerged stone, from sunken roots, from forgotten riverbeds, from memories held beneath centuries of flowing water. whatever its source. The music carried emotion without words. It spoke of longing, of solitude, of belonging, of the quiet ache that lives inside stillness. To hear it was to feel something loosen within. Tension softened, thought dissolved, concern drifted away. This is why the Nøkken song was said to awaken dreams. Not visions, but feelings. A sense of floating, a gentle surrender. Those who listened often described a strange calm. Not happiness, not sadness, but acceptance. The forest mirrored this emotion. Leaves stirred faintly, mist curled slowly, water shimmered softly. Everything responded. In some traditions, the Nøkken was said to teach music to those who dared approach him, fiddlers, harpists, singers. He would guide their hands, whisper melodies, shape rhythm, but in exchange, he demanded respect. Arrogance angered him. Carelessness displeased him. This reflects a deeper truth about water. It rewards patience, but punishes haste. To master water, one must move with it, not against it. So too with music. True melody cannot be forced. It must be felt, allowed, released. The Nøkken embodies this philosophy. He becomes the bridge between sound and silence, between movement and rest, between presence and absence. As night deepens and the world grows quieter, his song becomes less distinct, not fading, but blending with breath, with pulse, with the subtle rhythms of the sleeping body. This is the moment when sound transforms into sensation, when melody becomes calm, when listening becomes drifting. The surface of the lake grows perfectly still. Stars shimmer faintly, mist thickens, and reflection becomes endless. Here, the boundary between sky and water dissolves. Up becomes down becomes up. Orientation loses meaning. This is where dreaming begins. The Nøkken no longer plays. He no longer watches. He becomes part of the water, part of the night, part of the stillness itself. And in that stillness, thought releases, breath deepens, heartbeat slows, the body softens, the melody fades, but its echo remains, not as sound, but as peace. The night settles fully now. As the night stretches onward, the surface of the lake grows heavier with quiet. Reflection softens, shadow thickens, and even the faint shimmer of starlight begins to fade beneath drifting cloud. The world narrows gently, as though attention itself were being drawn inward, toward some hidden center of calm. Here there is no urgency, no motion that demands notice, only the slow, patient unfolding of stillness. The water remains, holding, receiving, carrying the faint echo of sound long after it has vanished from the air. Every ripple dissolves before it can complete its circle. Every movement returns to rest. The lake becomes a mirror not of the sky, but of the mind, vast, open, and untroubled. Beneath the surface, unseen currents continue their quiet work. They slide past stone, weave through submerged roots, and cradle fragments of leaf and silt in endless motion. Nothing rushes, nothing resists. Everything flows at the pace of release. In this slow rhythm, the sense of separation fades. The distance between breath and water, between thought and silence, begins to dissolve. The forest leans closer, branches settle. Moss softens the edges of fallen logs. Even the smallest sounds retreat, leaving only the subtle hush of air moving gently through unseen spaces. This is the hour when awareness loosens its grip, when the mind stops shaping the world and allows itself to simply drift within it. Here, the presence of the Nøkken becomes indistinguishable from the calm itself. There is no figure to watch, no melody to follow, only a steady invitation to rest, a quiet permission to let go, to sink not into water but into stillness, into a softness that holds without demanding. The body responds instinctively. Breath deepens, muscles release, thought unwinds. Memory softens at the edges, becoming suggestion rather than substance. The weight of the day loosens, slipping gently away like mist dissolving into the dark. In this moment, nothing needs to be resolved. Nothing needs to be remembered. Nothing needs to be anticipated. There is only the slow pulse of life continuing beneath awareness, a gentle current carrying consciousness toward rest. The night does not hurry. The water does not press. The forest does not watch. Everything simply allows. And in that allowance, sleep begins to arrive. Mist thickens across the lake's surface, stars soften behind drifting cloud, and the distant world grows faint. Nothing moves, nothing stirs, only water remains. The surface lies smooth and dark. A mirror without reflection, holding quiet the way earth holds seed, waiting, patient, still. The forest leans closer, branches arch gently, leaves breathe softly, everything slows. This is the hour when water dreams, not in images, not in thought, but in rhythm. Tiny ripples pulse outward from unseen currents, barely visible, barely felt, yet constant. They move beneath reflection, beneath silence, beneath the knowing of the surface. Here, depth stretches endlessly, not downward, but inward, and awareness follows. Breath grows steady, each inhale slower than the last, each exhale softer. Thought loosens, edges blur, the mind opens, and then begins to drift. The lake holds this drifting gently, cradling awareness, supporting stillness. There is no urgency here, no demand, no call, only presence. Somewhere beneath the surface, ancient stone rests quietly, shaped by centuries of flowing water, smoothed by endless time. Roots weave around it, moss settles. Life continues its slow work, everything in balance, everything in place. The Nøkken is no longer a figure, no longer a song, no longer a story. He has become the calm itself, the steady quiet beneath awareness, the gentle pull toward rest. Nothing is lost, nothing is taken, everything is returned. Returned to water, returned to earth, returned to stillness. The night deepens, and in that depth, consciousness softens. The space between thought grows wider. Memory fades. Images drift apart. There is no need to hold anything now, no need to remember, no need to follow. Only the slow movement of breath, the subtle rhythm of heartbeat, the comforting presence of quiet. The forest exhales, the lake remains, the sky darkens, and the world rests. This is the place the Nøkken has always guarded. Not danger, but peace. A peace shaped by water, by patience, by silence. Let the night hold you, let stillness carry you, let thought drift freely. Nothing waits beyond this moment. Nothing calls your name, nothing needs to be done, only rest. This has been Fairy Tales After Dark.